Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are tuning in from. This is BS Buddies Podcast. I'm your host, Joe. That is your host, Ian. And today, we're going to talk birthdays because it was Ian's birthday a couple weeks ago at this point, but posted a little short for it. So he's well traveled, to say the least, and he's going to discuss where he's been for some of his birthdays.
I'm going to impart some lovely wisdom of the world onto all of you wonderful people out there. Don't mind me as I shed eyelashes because they have constantly been falling out and getting in my eyes and driving me nuts.
Comes with old
so yeah.
age.
So yeah, it does. It really does. The ripe old age of 28. I know. God, where's the old effect filter? Need to put like a grandpa's face on there and like, well, back in my day, Netflix came in the mail. Okay, grandpa, let's get you to bed. Like,
I had someone say that at work, like back in my day. He legit said that, and he's in his 40s. It's like, dude, settle down.
back in your day, what, 1992? Ooh, like these eyelashes are gonna drive me up a wall. I'm gonna just shave them all off. It's all right. It'll be fine. Anyways, yes, Joe is correct. It was recently my birthday. A couple weeks as you're seeing this in the future, but as we're recording this, it was just this past Wednesday, the 12th. And as you heard, I turned the ripe old age of 28. There kind of hits a point now where your birthdays are not like super big. You know, Joe, we were just talking about this right before the video.
Were we?
You just kind
of. This is. I don't think we were, but okay.
Well, I should say not necessarily that it's big, but like there hits a point where like you have another birthday and you're just like, oh god, it's another one. You know what I mean? Like there, you start getting to that point where it's like it just starts turning into like every multiple of 10. Oh no, the big 30, the big 40, the big 50. That's about it. Like nobody goes, oh, you're turning 37, better throw a rager. Like nobody does. You know what I mean? Maybe your friends do that. If your friends do that, good. I'm happy for you. That's really good. You have some great friends.
Not to judge, but I think you need a little bit more responsibility. Or maybe you have your life completely figured out and you have all your responsibilities taken care of.
Throwing a rager at 37 is just popping 2 Advil before you stay up until 10:30 at night, so that way you're not extra sore tomorrow. That's what throwing a rager at 37 is.
You'll know in 9 years. I'll know in 9.5.
Yeah. It's kind of funny too because I had some people I know, they texted me on my birthday and they were like, "Oh, happy birthday." And I was like, "Oh, thank you, appreciate it." And then they were like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm at work." It's like 1:30 in the afternoon. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm at work." And they're like, "You didn't take a day off for your birthday?" And I'm like, "Bro, it's Wednesday. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna take one day off in the middle of the week? Oh boy. I can have another Paps tonight. I can really go hog wild." Like,
For the first time ever, last year was the time where I took the day off for my birthday. Only time I've ever done that. Like I worked on my 16th birthday.
Oh yeah.
And on my 21st. Like I didn't take the day off.
Your 16th, man, Joe. You were really just trying to get that bread from a young age, weren't you? I don't need to celebrate. I need money. Just working for it. No, I understand it to a certain degree. But you didn't sound convinced on that one, Joe. Come on, I'm trying to give you props here. Accept it. But no, and just broaching the subject of birthdays, Joe mentioned that we haven't done an episode where we talk stories for a while. And it's kind of funny because obviously being a military veteran myself from the Marine Corps, we got a fair number of stories, at least when the old memory up here can rattle enough Plinko chips into the right slot that allow me to remember something.
When the PTSD parts for just a little bit and you can see through the fog.
Parts like the Red Sea. Aha! I remember that. Like I said, it's like a steel wire cage. The wind hisses.
The wind.
You know what they say? You know what they say? The next thing that goes.
Right.
Yeah, the wind whistles when it went just right. Yeah, speech is the next thing to go with age. You know what I mean? At the time that I was in, I didn't really think about it because, birthdays they sort of take like a back burner. I mean, granted, you still celebrate with your buddies, and don't get me wrong, you party hard, but a lot of times your birthday gets overshadowed by other things that are going on. And I didn't realize that at the time, but every single one of my birthdays at the time that I was in the military, I was busy doing something on my birthday. Like, on the day of my birthday, I was preoccupied with something else, and so I thought I'd impart some of these stories from you guys of where I was in the world at the time of all these happenings. So, the first birthday I had in the military, I turned 20 years old, and at that point in time, I was in MCT, Marine Combat Training. And basically, for anyone who doesn't know, when they take you through, like, boot camp is not like the only training you get in the military. There's actually loads of training you get in the military. The whole
I
thing is
I would
training.
hope so, but yeah, that's also what I think. It's like you have boot camp, and then you're just put in your little branch, and then they just take care of the rest.
And then they're like, "Yeah, here you go. Like, you learn the basics, go." No. So that's actually quite a series of a lot of training. So you go with boot camp with like certain guys, and then once you're done with boot camp, you get separated into two groups. The guys who are going to go off to become ground pounders, infantrymen, they go off and they go do School of Infantry, which is 3 months long, and then after that they get kicked away to their units, and then they're in the main Marine force. For anybody else who is not going to become an infantryman, you go through a 1 month course called Marine Combat Training, and that's where you learn all of the little doodads about being a rifleman and how to operate as an infantryman should the need ever arise. And then once you're done with that, you'll go on to actually go to your training for what you're going to do as your job. So for this point in time, I was going to Marine Combat Training in the God, I don't remember that. It's on Camp Pendleton. I know that. So it's out in Southern California. I was actually in California for a fair amount of my training. And it's a weird time because you don't really get like you're done with boot camp. So they don't treat you like total garbage. Just sort of like a
Half
half full
garbage
trash can. Yeah, a half full trash can in the corner.
that a
And
raccoon is
so
in.
yeah. And at the time of my birth is ironically enough, I think I was like halfway through at the time that I had my birthday. I don't recall anything particularly special going on when I did do it. It was just like, hey, congratulations, you're turning 20, and it was just like that was it. I remember I took some super cringy photo of myself standing on like a ridge, putting both arms up, and you can see my little bald head shaved in the back. I'm like, I did it, I'm here. So that one wasn't, like, particularly interesting. I did like I said, I don't even remember a whole lot about it. Just that, we were out doing cool things and shooting machine guns, and I'm 20 years old now, and, the next birthday was actually a little more exciting because that was when I was in, Afghanistan, and that one was, so I got in the span of time that it took me to get from training to being deployed was very, very short by a lot of standards. Joe, I don't know if I've told you this one before. I mean, I'm sure I have in some metric, but so basically the job I picked probably not a big chance of me getting deployed going anywhere. Well, I got my lucky straw drawn and I got to be put on this really small task force that got to go to Afghanistan. So, I mean, you got to think I went to boot camp in November, graduated in February, and then I got to the Fleet Marine Force in like the middle of June. And then by that August, they were like, hey, guess what? There's a task force going to Afghanistan. Like, I hadn't even been in the Marine Corps a whole year and they were like, "Guess what, bro? You're gonna go literally out of the frying pan into the fire."
So
And so,
for me, I've I don't understand really how it works. Like there's so much I don't know. And sometimes when you talk about it, like you know so much where I just get lost. But I've been reading the book. It's called Wingman, and it's about Ted Williams, baseball player, and then John Glenn, who were friends in the. I think they were in the Marine Corps, possibly
maybe
Air Force. That I know they flew. So I don't know if Marines have their own like
They
planes.
they do. I mean, they do and they don't. It's
I'll,
probably Navy or Air Force are the big two.
I'll I'll read. I'm not super into it, but yeah, it kind of talked about like how I mean it was World War II and then the Korean War, but what happened was once everyone came home from World War II, they were just put on kind of a list, like reserve list, and a lot of them didn't even know they were on it, which I
Hmm.
don't know how that works. It's like, oh, so they just pulled them off there, but it's like they're training and then like it's like 2 years later they got deployed and it's like, wait, I thought they just like once you were done with training you just got deployed somewhere. So for
Yeah.
you it's like you got deployed like right away. So for me I'm like, oh, that's just how it works.
That just makes sense. Yeah, and that's sort of one of the things that and like I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence out there, but it is. It's really confusing, especially to hear from the outside. And that's why a lot of times when I explain these stories, if I say something that doesn't make sense, you got to pump the brakes because sometimes I forget what it's like to be on the outside looking in. And so one of the things that I don't want to say it's a misconception, but I think like especially with like Hollywood and movies and like looking back in history in the past, there's sort of this conception that like, oh, you join the military and then you're just off around the world firing machine guns in one hand and throwing grenades with the other until your contract is up and then you come home. No, 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 no. Especially for like with where we are today, not technically involved in any active conflicts, you join the military and then you get to your final unit or whatever, and then essentially you just spend your entire time in this unit training. That's all you do. So when I was deployed, the last time my unit had actually gone over to the Middle East was like 2012. So it'd been almost a decade at this point. It'd been like 6 years, I think, 6 or 7 years since we'd gone. And so in that time, all my unit did was all year long, like not like constantly, but all year, like at different periods throughout like summer and winter, you just go out into the field, which is like, the hills and stuff of California, and you just run simulations of like, hey, if you were in a battle and you get this mission, how would you execute it? What do? You go through and you basically practice and you run drills over and over. Like, it's kind of like imagine if you joined a sports team and you just kept practicing and practicing and
Yeah, it's
practicing
like
and
run
practicing
run
and
this play
practicing.
and we're going to run this
Yeah,
play until it's
until it's
seamless.
drilled into your head, literally flawless. You could do it with your eyes closed, backwards, with your hands tied behind your back. It just you constantly practice, but you never actually get to play a game until finally they come up one day and they're like, "All right, gentlemen, we got a game coming up. All right,
Yeah.
we got a roster to pick from." You know?
Yeah, that's one sport you hope you never have a game for.
Yeah, and
The
well, and
military.
you would think, right? You would think, but that's the thing is like, you've been training so long, you've been doing these fake runs for so long, pretending to do this for so long that everyone is chomping at the bit for an opportunity to be like, "Oh my God, we can do what we've been practicing to do!" Like just losing their minds. And so, you got to think of it from the perspective of like, here's me, little PFC joining the fleet in June, and I joined my unit, my battalion, 5th Battalion, 11th Marines, which doesn't actually exist anymore. It got deactivated. And of that, there's 4 batteries to choose from. There's probably like, God, 100 to 200 guys in each battery or something somewhere along that lines. And so, you got a roster of like almost probably 1,000 dudes to choose from. And they're like, "All right, boys, we got a deployment coming up. We're going to choose 23 people out of these 4 firing batteries. 23 is it." That'd be like if you had like a football team of like 500 dudes, and they're like, "We're going to pick 11 of you. That's it. That's all the people who are going to play." And here comes me. I don't know any better. "Hey guys, what's going on? I'm brand new to the unit." Them, that guy we want that guy to go on deployment. And so I was well hated. I was well hated, you know. And so they sent me on this deployment or whatever, and we're out in the desert, and my birthday finally rolls around, and my master sergeant was in there, and my birthday comes around, and he's hearing through the grapevine, "It's your birthday today?" "Oh, yes, it is, Master Sergeant. It's my birthday." And he's like, "Well, that's awesome. How old are you turning?" And I'm like, "I'm turning 21, Master Sergeant." He just stops and he looks at me. He's like, "You're turning 21?" "Yes, I am, Master Sergeant." "What? When did you graduate boot camp?" And I'm like, about a year and a month ago, Master Sergeant." He's like, I'm getting too old for this job. And like he just like walks out. And then my lieutenant had come back earlier.
I'd like to butt in.
Yes.
Can you stop saying your last name so I don't have to edit so much?
It's fine.
That's why my head has been down, by the way, because I've been writing notes on when to cut his name, so I don't forget to bleep
I'm pretty sure I've said my last name quite a few times. I'll just say
nope,
O.
Yes,
I'll just say O.
Please say O. I bleep people's names, last names. Like you did it when we were talking about the Marines. You DDoSed your buddy, so I had to go back and like watch 10 minutes to make sure I got every single last word.
Okay, but we caught that one right away.
So if I'm looking down, it's because Ian can't stop saying last names, and I'm writing timestamps down.
Just cut that whole bit. Make this entire piece make no sense. Just cut that whole bit.
I just keep changing the time. I'm like, okay, from the 12 to 16-minute mark. Okay, scratch that.
From this to this mark.
Move the minute back.
Okay. So my master, whatever. And then my lieutenant comes back, and he's like, we'll say Oscar, because O is Oscar in the phonetic alphabet.
Thank you.
So he comes back, and he's like, "Oscar, it's your birthday, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is, LT. Thanks. Happy birthday, me, yo, woohoo!" And he's like, I got you a little gift from the chapel that they had, and the chapel has all kinds of like care packages that people send over that are just random. You can just take stuff from them as you need them." And he's like, "I got you a birthday hat and one of those little microwave lava cakes." And it's quite literally, it looks like cocoa powder with just like a chocolate ball in the middle of it. And you like add water, put it in a microwave, and bingo presto, there you go, chocolate lava cake. And I don't think I ever got the picture, but somewhere out there, I'm pretty sure my lieutenant still has it. But somewhere out there is a picture of me. I'm like in full battle rattle, like helmet, flak jacket, rifle, everything, standing out in the sands of Afghanistan with a little party hat on top of my helmet, holding a chocolate lava cake going. And then I'm pretty sure he got me. I think they had non-alcoholic beer at the little chow building, because they had like this little mini cooler where they would stock energy drinks for us, and then they had like non-alcoholic beer. So he got me a little half-size can of non-alcoholic beer and a chocolate lava cake. And that was my 21st birthday present. Was like woo. So that was my 20. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think all of your military birthdays happened when I was working one job. I was there like the entire time you were in the Marines, and then like shortly after you came back, I switched jobs. So basically, I was with one company as you were gone. I just kind of thought about that.
Nice.
Because I keep thinking, like, where was I in life? Oh, at the same store.
Oh, man.
I did not to butt in, but I became an assistant department manager when I was 20. So a lot of people made jokes. Funnily enough, one of the people I was the manager of was also a Marine, and I got him and Ian together eventually, and it was like they did the same job, but like 30 to 40 years apart. But a joke he would always say is, let's go out for lunch. We could go to JL Beers in Fargo, North Dakota, and Joe can wait in the car for us while we go in and drink. And
you'll be our TD.
There was another lady who I was the manager of, and like he made the joke again, and she's like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, didn't you know Joe's 20 years old?" And like she was just like for 15 minutes, she just looked at me and like 20, 20. Like she just could not believe I was 20 years old. Like I still had like the same beard. I I don't think I had the mustache, but I had the beard. Like I probably looked about the same then as I do now. So she's like 20. 20. That's just so odd. Like you don't look 20. I just remember that vividly. Like she could not get over it.
Be
Like
like, what do I look like I am? 50?
I should have.
It's okay. I still get carded when I go into bars, and it's a little flattering, it's a blessing and a curse, but it's always funny like when I walk in somewhere, they'll be like, "Oh, what do you want?" And I'm like, ooh, give me a grain belt." And they're like, can I see your ID?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry, I get it." And they're like, "Well, I just want to make sure." I'm like, "No, no, no, I promise I'm old enough." And I give them the card. And my favorite was recently when we were out snowmobiling a couple weeks back, and we stopped in at the bar, and she's like, "Can I see your ID?" And I was pulling. I was like, "Don't worry, I promise I'm old enough." And she's like, "Oh, okay, we will see." And she like grabs the card. She looks at it and she sees, the 19 for
I,
1997. She's like, "Oh my God, you are old enough." And I was like, "Thank you, I know. Yes,
I
I've
I
done
was
this a
gonna
time or
say
two."
it. Isn't it so nice where it's like, "Here, can I have your ID?" Yep. Okay. Yep. You're good. Just it's like
Oh,
what? I
oh.
saw the one.
I saw the 19. Oh. You're like, "Oh, yeah, I
For
guess that makes sense."
it, I I kind of hate this, but I mean, I had it coming. Whenever I go back home to my parents' place and go to local bars there, give them my license. It's like, oh, Packer fan. No, never say that again. I'm still loyal to my purple and gold.
I'm still loyal, I promise. I'm not a cheesehead, I'm not. And you just throw a fit right there. Oh,
Just
man.
put on my Viking helmet with like the hair as I'm
I'm one of
going.
you. See, I put the hat on. See, anytime I'm in, like Lord Farquaad. See, he's pointing at the helmet. Oh man,
But that was your 21st.
that was my
Where were you
21st.
for? So you were Southern California for 20, Afghanistan for 21. Where'd you go for 22?
So 22. God, now that I think about it, so that would have been 2019.
Weren't you in Thailand or something for one, or Germany?
That was 23. Although Germany was actually where I got to have my first real beer. Now that I'm reminded of that, yes, I can tack that on to the end of
That
the 21 story.
that's what I thought. Like it had to have been around that time
Yeah, so
because I got that wrong on two truths and a lie, and I was shocked.
that, that's right. I did put that in there. Yeah, I was on our return flight from Afghanistan. We stopped at an airbase in Germany, and they were like, "All right, everyone who's of legal age can have 2 beers." So then I got to technically have my first United States legal, not Germany legal, but my first United States legal beer in Germany. We got to buy them from the counter there, and I felt bad for the 2 ladies who were running that little like barista table because it was like 10:30 at night, and there was like 300 of us on that plane because we were coming back with another unit. And we just like bum rushed that table. And I'm pretty sure they ran out of beers. They only had like one of those little mini fridges behind them, and they ran out at one point. They had to run in the back and restock. Um, but I turned 22. God, funny enough, I think I was in or on Camp Pendleton at the time I turned 22, but I don't think I was able to celebrate it because we were gearing up to go to Alaska. And so at the time, if I'm remembering this right, I think I actually got to go do a grenade range for my 22nd birthday. And I got to throw 2 grenades that day because I convinced the CEO. I was like, "Sir, it's my birthday coming up. Like, can I throw 2 grenades? How old are you going to turn? 22?" He's like, "Well, shit, I can't deny that logic." So I got to throw 2 grenades that day at the grenade range. And for anyone who doesn't know how the grenade range works, it's not It's not like you see in those videos where they're like standing there and the dude throws the pin, drops a grenade, and then they jump down the hole. No, 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 no. They don't do none of that. Although there is some of that involved. They basically have these like 1 foot thick concrete walls, and they form these like four boxes in a line. And the one concrete wall is like 6 7 feet high, and the other wall is like a little like 2 foot wall for you to step over. And basically one at a time, there's two of you in the box. There's the instructor and the thrower, and they're like, all right, hold your chest, put a pin, and you toss, and then you yell frag out, and you duck down, and it goes boom. And it's pretty cool, overall. And then they have like a big concrete tower behind you with like literally like 1 foot thick, I think it's tempered glass, so that it can't, really, maybe it's not tempered glass, whatever it is, but it's thick, and you can actually watch the explosions from up there.
Like
And the really cool
kind of
thing
like
is you can
hurricane glass on steroids.
yeah, hurricane glass on steroids, crack, meth, and any other hard drugs you can think of. Like, you couldn't damage this thing with a
PCP.
hammer if you wanted. Yeah, yeah, threw a little PCP in there. And you can really see the front of the tower is like all freckled by all the shrapnel that comes flying at it. So that's pretty cool. So I got to throw my one, and then obviously once they make sure everyone gets through, then they got some leftovers. And oh, sir, can I throw another grenade? It's my birthday. How old you turn? 22. Go grab one, Oscar. Yay! And then I get to go throw my other grenades. So I got two grenade pin rings somewhere in this mess around here that I should show, but they're really nothing impressive. It's just like a little clip with a thing dangling off it.
Hey,
Um,
that's two more
not
than I got.
Granted, I know we're at 26 minutes now, Joe. Not to drag this out longer than I need to, but the fun story, side story that's associated with this one is so before they take you out there and just give you live ordnance to throw, because obviously these are dangerous items, they need to make sure that you are in fact capable of throwing a baseball size object, which sounds really stupid until it's emphasized by my next point. So before they take you out there, they give you a bunch of little dummy grenades, which is basically just the body of a grenade that's painted blue, and then it has the bottom hole drilled out, and they put the little blasting caps in there. So when you pull the pin and throw it, it's just like a little firecracker goes, and then that's it. And they lined us all up on the baseball field, and then they put a chain link fence in front of you, and you have to throw it up and over the chain link fence to prove that you can get it over that concrete wall when push comes to shove. And me and my buddy are standing there, and we're talking like, oh yeah, we've been through this, blah blah blah. And we hear the guys behind us, and we're both corporals at this point. And the one guy behind us, we can hear him talking. He's like, oh, I don't know what hand I should throw with when we get up there. And both him and I, like, we look at each other, we look at him, we're like, what do you mean you don't know what hand to throw with? I don't know what hand I should use, Corporal. And like we look at each other again, and we go like, how do you not know what hand to throw with? Like what's your dominant hand? I don't know, Corporal. What do you mean you don't know what your dominant hand is, bro? Like, I looked at him, I'm like, what hand do you write with? And he's like, I write with my right hand, Corporal. And I'm like, well, then use your right hand, dude. Jeez. So we get up there, we get up to the line, and we watch him throw, and he just does this little like thing, and it just like barely even gets over the chain link fence, and we're like, oh my god, dude, that was terrible. How do you not know how to throw? I don't know, Corporal. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at throwing. I can see that. And we're trying all these different things of like, how can we get this man to throw better? And then finally, my buddy, he looks at him and he asks him, he goes, what hand do you choke the chicken with, man? Like, what hand when it's you time, what hand do you use? And he's like, oh, I do that with my left hand, Corporal. Oh my god. And it's kind of like that eureka moment where it's like, okay, use that hand. It was just as terrible. It was literally just as terrible with the other hand. I don't know
Look,
how.
I know I'm a pitcher and all, but it's not hard to throw a ball. Like, we're not even talking a football where it's oblong and it's kind of
Awkward to
weird,
hold.
honestly. It takes a bit to get used to that. And we're not talking a softball, which is a lot bigger. Like a baseball fits in your hand. I'm so glad we have the best of the best in the military of Just physical
best,
ability.
best, and absolute
Like,
brightest. And
why
this
don't
kid,
hold hold on. For basic training, they need to just be like, here, play catch. Play catch with the baseball. We're gonna weed out the worst ones right here, right now.
well, and okay, so the worst part is that like when you're going through that MCT that I was talking about, you have to throw a grenade as well to pass that course. You have to throw a grenade there. So it's like, how did you throw it there, but you can't throw it here? I don't understand. And this kid, God bless his soul, right? By the way, don't think that I'm taking this to dog on him. Like he, in many ways, was a talented individual, but in many ways he was a I
He
don't
had
know
a
how
very
to
specific skill set. And if you
he had a
went outside of that skill set, you're
you
asking too
deviated
much.
out. Yeah, if you deviated outside that skill set at all, like if you were asking him to like breathe through his nose when he was running, you know, that's tall order. But like, this kid, like he was he was an interesting one to be sure. There are many other things that I could say about this individual, but it was just one of those moments where you kind of look at somebody and you're like, how have you gotten to where you are in life? Like even a baby has the most basic of instincts. Like you give a baby something that they're not supposed to throw without fail, they will chuck that thing at mock Jesus somewhere it's not supposed to go. All right.
My 7-year-old
So,
has a pretty strong arm. I feel like she could throw a grenade pretty good.
oh yeah, it doesn't take a lot of chutzpah to hoist that thing over a wall. So yeah, I think eventually we got it to the point where we could at least ensure him and his instructor would not be in immediate mortal danger should he throw a grenade. And I believe he did manage to pass the grenade range that day, but it was a nail biting couple of minutes there for something that really should not be a terrifyingly difficult concept to grasp. And that was the story of my 22nd birthday, and praying to God that I
You made it
and
to
as another side
23.
note, I remember when we told the sergeant who was gonna be his instructor, like, we relayed that story to him when we got up to the line, and he was like, "And I've gotta be his instructor for that?" We were like, "Yeah, dude, you're gonna be taught." He was like, "Jesus Christ." He's he was like, "Alright, you guys are in charge of writing my will." I was like, "Alright, man, sure, I got you." And then, moving on to the final birthday that I had in the Marine Corps was my 23rd birthday. Yeah, because we just got done with 22. See, counting goes with age. My 23rd birthday, I was actually on ship in Thailand. This was the one where I was stuck on the boat out in the water. Ironically enough, it was right when COVID started, like right at the tail end of February there was when COVID started happening. And then about 2 weeks later is when they told us, "Hey, congratulations, this illness is spreading like wildfire, so we're gonna stay on ship for another month." And we basically just floated around outside of Okinawa for an extra 30 days, like, "Yep, that's a lot of water. That's a lot of water." And I'm pretty sure if I remember right, they brought us all down into like the chow hall of the ship, and then they would like try and like sing happy birthday for everybody, and then they'd call you up so you could get a piece of cake. And I was just like, oh my God, because we were really outnumbered there. Like me and my group on the ship we were on, which was the USS America. She was an aircraft carrier, not a super carrier, like one of those just like a straight runway. It's like a quarter mile in length. That's it. And so me and my group of guys, we were our only group from our unit on that ship. The rest was like either some infantry dudes or another for the Marine Corps, and then the rest was all, Navy side because the Navy are the one who's running the ship. So I felt very outnumbered in many, many ways, and I was like, guys, please don't make me go. I don't want to. I don't want to get. I don't need everybody and their mother on this ship knowing that it's my birthday because I'm going to get a whole bunch of happy birthdays and whatever have yous from people that I don't know, and that's just not a good time that I want. But, we went down, we did it, it was a good time, we still had fun while we were aboard ship, and, let me tell you, if you ever get the chance to hear a grown man fall 7, 8 feet out of his bunk and hit the floor at night because he didn't clip the little latch on the side of his thing to keep him from rolling out when the waves start rocking the ship too much, that is an experience to behold. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. You know, I'm I love the rocking of the ship on the waves, and granted, it's not like we were ever in any violent storms, but like I always thought the gentle rocking back and forth was really nice. You know, it was very peaceful. It lulled you to sleep, and along each side of your little bunks that you sleep in, there's supposed to be a little strap that you like clip up, and then like if the waves get too much, you know, you don't pitch over the edge. Some people, they didn't clip them because they thought, I guess, they had better reaction time when they were dead asleep than wide awake, which I don't know, never made sense to me. But you could always tell when somebody didn't clip it because the waves got a little rough at night, and you'd hear this, oh, oh, and then they just, yeah, and you're like, idiot.
Yeah, I haven't gone fishing that much, so like the last time I went to Massachusetts, and I don't think I was on a boat in Florida, but Massachusetts, I was started feeling seasick. It's like I grew up like fishing on lakes. The last time I was in Massachusetts, I was just fine, and now I'm struggling.
You
I don't
feeling
get
it,
it.
and it's well, and you know, I'm very glad that I didn't get seasick. I wasn't. I suffered more from like a I get not a claustrophobia, but when you're in that cramped of a space for that long, it gets to your head, and it definitely got to my head a little bit. And I regret it in some ways because I feel like I should have been better. I shouldn't have let it get to my head as much, but
It's in the
I did,
past.
and I
You're good.
can't go back and change that now. But I will say that for anybody who's thinking like, "Oh man, that sounds wonderful. I really want to go out and take a cruise and see the ocean." No, you don't. No, you don't. Listen, the only thing that's alluring about cruises is whatever the boat has to offer for entertainment. 'Cause let me tell all you aspiring artists out there who think that the ocean is some vast, beautiful, and mysterious place. It is. It really is. It's deep blue. It's just like you see in like the movies. It's got like just this navy, like Joe's background or my background sometimes even, and like at night when the water's inky black and you're like, oh, it's creepy. It really is for about 10 minutes. And then you go, shit, it's a lot of water. Sure can't see nothing else.
Could
Okay, this is boring. I'm going back inside.
could
Man,
you
and that's it.
could you
That's
see
the
like
ocean.
all the stars though? Like was there much light pollution or like
Uh,
or did
well,
it
now at
depend on like
nighttime,
cloudy days versus obviously, but
yeah, kind of. It depends a lot on cloudy days. And then the other thing, so they run like red emergency lights on the ship at nighttime for low light conditions, right? Because red light is supposed to be the hardest light to see at a distance. And then on top of that, because it was an aircraft carrier, you know, sometimes like the tower would be lit up at night because they're having the F-35s are doing practice runs for like takeoffs and landings at night and things like that. And so sometimes, like if you go out onto the catwalks, you know, you've got this red emergency light that's like right in your eyes, so you can't really like look out and see what's right there. It's kind of like, you know, it's like holding a flashlight in front of your face and trying to see the stars. You just really can't do it. But on the rare occasion that you did get to see some of the stars twinkling, yes, it was really pretty to see out there on the water.
so it wasn't a thing where it's like I'm gonna map out all the stars every night. It's
No, not
like
unless you were like way up on the tippy top of the ship where like the rest of the lights are shining down, you had nothing around you. Unless you were up there, no, you weren't going to be seeing nothing. And then it was, listen, my experience on ship might have been a little bit tainted too, because like I said, where we were sleeping on the ship was like right below the flight deck. So like when they would run their
that's
flight
awful. That's
operations,
so awful.
all you hear is just all night long because they take off and then they come in and they land so you just be like in the middle of the night and then all of a sudden, oh, it's just the thing taking off. We're okay.
Yeah, I don't envy you. I could still go to work for 40 to 50 hours every week, get yelled at because Lysol is $10 a can. But
Then those ships are confusing to navigate. Like I don't looking back now, I don't know how in the world I remembered where anything was at. Because like, to get down to where, like, the barber shop was to get your haircuts or to, like, where the PX was to buy stuff, if I'm remembering right, you had to, like, go down this hallway, you had to watch out for this one hatchway that was called the knee knocker because it was higher than all the rest of them, and if you didn't pick your legs up, you'd smack your knees into it, and it hurt like a son of a gun. You had to, like, go up this one hallway, go down a flight of stairs, walk over to another hallway, go down that flight of stairs, and then walk through this doorway, go around, and then down this flight of stairs, and then you were there. So they make it, and those stairwells are tight. Like, you are squeezing through. It is like, it's almost like climbing a ladder more than stairs. It's like climbing a ladder. It's an experience to behold for sure.
Well, do you have any other closing remarks? Because this short episode is now pushing 40.
Yeah, well, you know, I had to say my last name a whole bunch of times there for you to mute, which, you know, I just trying to make sure you got work to do, Joe.
Yeah.
I still think you should just cut that whole section just to make it make no sense. I think that'd be hilarious. No, I got nothing off the top of my head right now. Is just some of the stories that I had from my time aboard ship and how, you know, all my birthdays were almost spent basically everywhere else, and so, you know, we didn't get to party hard and celebrate until I'd get back with the guys. But overall, it was a wild experience, and the more I talk about some of these things, the more that comes back to me, which is also what contributed to the time of this video. So if you guys want to hear any more stories, or any questions that you want answered, ask in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to provide answers. Maybe we can do another video out of it if we get enough people responding to it. You know?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing. I love hearing about your time with the Marines because I'd worked retail during that time, and I got some
Honestly, you had the
stories.
worst end of that bargain. If we're being totally honest, retail sounds like the worst end of that bargain.
This dude got deployed to Afghanistan and said I had it worse. I never thought I'd see the day.
I mean, listen, I'm just saying, in retail, you don't have an option to retaliate against stupid customers.
Your hands
I'm
on the
not gonna.
button, ready to launch the missiles.
That's just, I got it. It's right there. Please, God, let me just obliterate him right now. Boop, and then, you know, I'm just gonna
Well,
leave it at that. You know, you can't retaliate against dumb customers.
well,
I mean,
maybe
you can exactly once.
maybe next episode I'll say some retail stories, especially during COVID. Like just working retail during COVID. That was especially when you're the department manager of the cleaning supplies and the toilet paper and all that. Yeah, that was great.
Oh yeah.
At 22 years old.
Oh, I
Uh,
can only imagine.
well, that settles it. We'll talk about that next time. um,
I got
but
my own toilet paper story to share with that, and it involved electrical tape and a notepad. And that's not a lie or an exaggeration.
that sounds like a bit on SNL. Like just the end of a bit. But thank you guys for tuning in, BSing with us today. Subscribe to become a But Today. If you have any questions or want more stories from Ian, leave them down below. We will see you next time when I talk a little bit of retail.
Thanks for joining us, guys. We're out for the evening. It's my birthday, so I'm gonna go take her easy, and I suggest you all do the same.
Happy belated birthday, Ian.
Woo!